iOS store and listen to us on the go. Coming up this afternoon, lawyers for Inspector General of Police say the parliamentary committee probing the leak tape saga is veering off into matters outside its mandate as they accuse the chair of bias.
All manner of invitations are being made to all manner of persons to speak on all manner of issues. It cannot be that that was what was intended. All manner of invitations are being made to all manner of persons to speak on all manner of issues. It cannot be.
Well, a key witness in the matter, retired Commissioner of Police George Alex Mensah, meanwhile says he stands by his comment in the leak tape as he adds that the committee's work will vindicate him. We have details plus take you to Parliament as the committee resumes hearing. Also this afternoon, Attorney General says no evidence exists to back claims by former Environment Minister Professor Frimpong Boateng in his 36-page report suggesting persons in government are involved in Galamsey. The AG says the heart surgeon failed to cooperate with the police in substantiating his claims. Majority Leader Oseiche Mensah Buntu asks leadership of the NPP to explore all possibilities to return resigned member Alan Tremantain to the fold of the party again ahead of the 2024 general elections. And much later in the package, voting underway in Liberia as former football star George Weah seeks re-election in crucial presidential polls. We take you live to Liberia for the latest and bring you views of the Liberian diaspora here in Ghana. A pleasure that you could be a part of this afternoon's bulletin. It's streaming live on Facebook. Our handles 3FM 927. Same handles on Twitter, now X as well, 3FM 927. I am Eric Mawuena Egbeta. Let's settle for the details. And lawyers for Inspector General of Police have this afternoon raised concerns about work done by the parliamentary committee probing the leak tape saga. They say it is veering off into matters outside its mandate as they accuse the chair of bias. The committee resumes sitting today to interrogate witnesses that have already testified before it. As you may be aware, the Speaker has tasked the ad hoc committee to investigate a leaked tape in which individuals, including a senior police officer, had plotting to oust the IGP. Spokesperson for the IGP's legal team, Kofi Bento, says his team is unhappy about how proceedings have been managed so far.
The committee has a clear remit. We are interested, indeed our client, the IGP, is interested in assisting the committee to achieve what the Speaker set it up to achieve. So we are here to do that. Part of what I have been saying in my post is that, unfortunately, it looks like the committee is going a bit away from what it was set up to do. And we have cooperated with the committee and will continue to cooperate with the committee. Indeed, we have the instructions of our client to make sure that we provide every information and make him available. But we are inclined to also work hard to ensure that the committee does not lose its way. It cannot be an open-ended, wide-ranging probe of the entire. We are speaking on matters of fact. So you can tell that in the past we have been here, we have subjected, or we have allowed our client to speak and answer all kinds of questions. So far, it is clear, it's a matter of fact, that as we speak, all manner of invitations are being made to all manner of persons to speak on all manner of issues. It cannot be that that was what was intended. So again, we are here to assist the committee to achieve the aims for which it was set up. To that extent, we have to limit it to the remit of what the Speaker asked it to do. So it's not a combat, it's not, adversarial, it's not a matter of we coming to resist anything, but the fact is that there is a goal to all of this.
That's Kofi Bento, his spokesperson for the IGP's legal team. Duke Mensah Opoku is my colleague, currently in Parliament for us, joins us on the telephone line. Duke, you spoke to the lead counsel of the IGP. He raises issues of bias against the chair of the committee, Samuel Atachia. What are the details? Unfortunately, Duke Mensah Opoku is not on the telephone line with us. We're going to try one more time and raise him this afternoon and connect with him and also get a sense as to exactly what is expected to happen with this in-camera hearing that we understand is expected to take place today. While we wait to connect with Duke Mensah Opoku as well, one of the key witnesses in the matter, retired Commissioner of Police George Alex Mensah, meanwhile, says he stands by his comments and in the leaked tape as he adds that the committee's work will vindicate him. We can take a listen to him as he's been speaking exclusively to us here at 3FM.
When we went to the committee, we said the tape has been edited. And the chairman of the committee came out to say that, yes, the tape has been edited.
Well,
it's good that you said allegedly.
It seems to me you're in a hurry to be vindicated.
Of course, but I'll be vindicated. I know.
We'll see how that goes.
I know what happened.
You know what happened?
Yes.
What happened?
I'm not ready to say it here because it is before a committee.
So let's talk about some of the things that we have heard at the committee hearing. You have admitted that your voice was on the tape.
I will be happy if you drop what is going on before the committee. Because it's a parliamentary select committee.
Now, what I want to know is you have admitted that meeting happened. You have admitted that part of those tape that we have heard is you.
Yes, of course.
Why did that?
There were truths.
There were truths.
None of the things in the tape was a lie.
Okay.
Or what I said the truth.
As a key witness in the matter, retired Commissioner of Police George Alex Mensah. Let's take you back to Parliament. Duke has joined us from there. Duke, I was asking that you spoke to the lead counsel of the IGP who's been raising issues of bias against the chair of the committee, Samuel Atacha. Exactly what did he say?
Well, he indicated that some comments that has been made in the public domain by the gentleman in question, that is the chairman of the committee, Samuel Atacha, indicate that there is a high likelihood of bias, and he's raising this in the public domain, and he will also raise it against him. During the meeting, which is being held in camera as we speak. As we speak, the IGP is being re-examined. The lawyers of all the other witnesses and the witnesses themselves are also in attendance. So that is what he said, or that's what he told media men before he went into that meeting. And so far, that's what is going on.
So a witness is calling witnesses to come and make depositions and give testimony. So we are here.
Is it your information that this is going to be entirely in camera?
It is a matter of procedure to be determined by the committee itself. But the invitation to us said it was going to be an in-camera hearing.
Have you already indicated to the chairman your displeasure with his alleged bias?
We have made it public. We have made it public.
Don't you think this would affect the hearings in any shape?
It shouldn't.
Okay, very well.
Thank you.
So, Duke, that's the lead counsel. You mentioned already that it's an in-camera hearing, but have we gotten an indication as to what the line of questioning is and what they are seeking to get at the end of the day?
Well, the committee later on also took on a new tape, which the chairman describes as a longer and comprehensive version of the tape under investigation. So that is some new evidence that they have uncovered, and they are going to re-examine all the witnesses and persons who have appeared before persons who have appeared before the committee in that light. As I speak to you now, the IGP has just exited the committee meeting, waiting for his cars to take leave of the parliamentary buildings. So which means that his re-examination and today's session has ended. There's a retinue of officers who have just lined up and taken salutes and greetings from the IGP. So that is what is currently going on right now.
Right then, Duke. Many thanks. We'll seek to hopefully get some words from the IGP or his legal team. But that's Duke Mensah Opoku for us from Parliament with regards to the ongoing probe by the ad hoc committee into the leak tape saga. We're moving away from this because this afternoon, the Office of the Attorney General says no evidence has been adduced to back the claims by former Environment Minister Professor Frimpong Boateng suggesting persons within government are involved in Galamsey. According to the AG, the heart surgeon, among many things, failed to cooperate with the police outside of his 36-page report, which leveled the accusations on a number of persons within and close to the current administration. Joseph Akable is my colleague. He's joining me in studio with details of the AG's advice. Joseph, let's start perhaps with a bit more background on this particular story.
And so you recall once Professor Frimpong Boati exited office as the chairman for the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining and subsequently as the Environment Minister, he authored a report on some impediments which affected the fight against illegal mining. In that controversial report, he made allegations against key government officials and other individuals close to government whom he said are stifling the fight against illegal mining. You recall he had also made a point that illegal mining was even taking place in the backyard of the president and affecting his garden. I mean, afterwards, we know that the Office of Special Prosecutor started investigating the matter. Also, we know the police was tasked by the AG to go into this particular matter as well. And so the AG has received a request from the police in terms of offering an opinion on what they've been able to put together so far on the docket. And this is the opinion that we have.
Now, we're learning now that no evidence has been adduced for a prosecution of the named persons. The AG cites reason why he says this.
So they trace a bit of the work that has been done by the police. They make the point that on 21st March 2023, the police visited a professor at his residence to elicit further information with respect to the allegations. At this meeting, the professor did not name any government official involved in illegal mining activities. He submitted a number of documents to the police, including the 36-page report presented by him to the Chief of Staff. Persons cited in the report has been involved in illegal mining in less them Lord Comey, Charles Niteko Tego, Frank Esiedu, Bekwe, Joseph Albert Kwam, Charles Owusu, Kojo Owusu Efriye, Captain Retired Edmond Kojo Koda, among others. Several attempts by the police to obtain further information from Professor Frimpong Boati to substantiate the allegations in the report and to assist them conduct further investigation proved futile. The professor also refused to provide any further information to the police. He also declined to give a written statement claiming his report is, quote, an embodiment of his statement, end quote. And all the information he has on the allegation is provided in it. So the AG concluded that the allegations are therefore bare and do not provide a basis for any criminal charges against the person cited in the report.
But there were some exceptions where the AG is asking the police to conduct a bit more investigations. Just give us those as well.
It was in respect of three individuals, Seth Mante, John Oforiatta, and Eko Wisi, who were alleged to have been involved in the sale of excavators. The AG concludes by saying, in respect of these three individuals, that in the absence of any evidence on the docket in support of any of the allegations of illegal mining activities, we are unable to recommend the prosecution of any person cited in the report. They should therefore be discharged. We, however, await the outcome of the investigations conducted in the case involving Seth Mante, John Oforiatta, and Eko Wisi. So that is a matter that has not been investigated thoroughly in terms of conclusion by the police, for which the AG says he's awaiting that aspect before they render an advice on that.
Right, then that's my colleague Joseph Akable with a bit more details on the Attorney General's advice this afternoon. You're listening to the news here on 3FM 92.7. To some other matters where the majority leader, Osechi Mensah-Bonsu, says the NPP must do all it can to have Alan Kyerematen return to the fold of the party. The founding member of the Elephant Party last month announced his resignation, citing differences which have existed for some time and challenges from the party's August 26th presidential elections. He subsequently announced his decision to contest the next general elections as an independent candidate. But for the leader of the party in parliament, every possibility should be explored to have him return.
I was surprised by his resignation. When he pulled out of the race, I thought the party should be engaging him, and the party chairman tried his best to do that. Unfortunately, he did not succeed, and he pulled out of, not only did he pull out, but then eventually ended up saying that he had resigned from the party. I still think that human as we all are, it is still possible to call him back. As my Bible teaches me, Christ Jesus it was, who said to us that if you have sheep numbering 100 and one goes missing or goes astray, you leave the 99 to fetch the one that has gone astray. I think that every effort still must be made, even if there is a 1% possibility. Let's see what will come out of it. And then we'll see if it's possible to bring him back. If he doesn't, says to us that I'm done with the party, I'm going my own way, that would be his choice. I still think that we must do everything possible to see if he could come back.
That's Majority Leader Oseichi Mensah Bonsu. The harrowing tales of customers of defunct Gold Coast Fund Management is being told from the frontage of the Finance Ministry, with hundreds of them resorting to picket there to demand their locked-up investments. They are demanding the Finance Ministry authorizes the release of some 8.6 billion cedis bailout package as approved by Parliament to their members. Some of them have been sharing their challenges with the news team.
I invested 10,000 and it has affected me, even my health, my medicals. I'm struggling to take care of myself, and even my last born who's at the university, he's not being helped by friends. You see, and in fact, I've been made immobile. I'm not able to move anywhere. You see, even as I speak, how I take care of myself, only God knows.
People are dying.
We couldn't pay our students.
2020, I think 2021, 2022, are sick, are fall sick. By the grace of God. Like by this time I die. Like I know be my kids and my brothers and my sisters, like by this time I die. Up to now, yesterday I want to buy my BP medicine. I buy the 50, I think 56. Now it be 138. Ghana City, how? So today when we came here for our money, to take our money.
The customers there. Judith Brown is my colleague at the Finance Ministry. She joins us live from there. Judith, describe to us the scenery at the ministry right now.
Right, and Mawuena, of course, currently these protesters, they have been picketing here at the Finance Ministry for quite a while, since about 10 a.m. this morning. They are very much aggrieved. Of course, you heard them talk about some of the situations they have been in. And we know, if I want to give you a bit of a background, we know that in 2019, the Gold Coast Fund Management Company had its license revoked by the Security and Exchange Commission. So this affected persons who had already made some huge investments into the company. And as a result, an amount of 8.6 billion cedis was approved by Parliament to settle the aggrieved investors. Now, while a partial 3.1 billion was disbursed in November 2020, the remaining 5.5 billion has since not been received by any of the investors. And so many of them here, as I can see, are pensioners. And I mean, they depend on these monies to pay their bills, their medical bills, their housing bills. And the fact that these monies have not been received for the past 4 years is really affecting them. And so you heard some of them explaining that they could have even died if not for the fact that their families and friends have been supporting them. Most of them cannot keep going to their families for help. And so they are demanding that government helps them as soon as possible. Mawuena.
You've been interacting with the spokesperson of the group as well. Exactly what has he been saying?
Right, and so he explained as the background as I gave earlier. But, you know, the ministry had sent someone to come call them for a meeting earlier this morning. They just came out and they were, in fact, very angry because, according to them, they were called in for a meeting. They've sat there for hours and no one is responding to them. No one is tending to them. And so they just have to walk out. No one has attended to them. And so they are very angry. And they say that they're going to be here picketing for the next 48 hours. And so you can see that they've actually brought some chairs for their members. They say that they are going to bring tents as well. So that's what's happening here at the Ministry of Finance.
Many thanks, Judith. My colleague at the Finance Ministry providing a bit more details there for us as to exactly what it is that is happening there. You're listening to the news. You're on 3FM 92.7 or streaming live on Facebook. Our handles 3FM 927. Same handles on Twitter as well, 3FM 927. Our top stories this afternoon. Lawyers for Inspector General of Police say the parliamentary committee probing the leak tape saga is veering off into matters outside its mandate as they accuse the chair of bias. We've been speaking with my colleague Duke Menso Poku, who just tells us as well that the Inspector General of Police has completed his in-camera hearing and has left the premises of Parliament. As to exactly what it is that transpired, we'll be seeking to get details for you if you stay with us here on 3FM 92.7. Also, we've been bringing you details of the Attorney General's advice, which says that no evidence exists to back claims by former Environment Minister Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng in his 36-page report suggesting persons within government or close to it are involved in illegal mining. The majority leader in other matters has also been asking leadership of the NPP to explore all possibilities to resign member Alan Tremantin to the fold of the party again ahead of the 2024 general elections. We're going outside of the country now, taking you to Liberia, where voting in a fiercely contested presidential election with former football star George Weah making a bid for a second term. His main challenger is former Deputy President Joseph Boakai, who is 78. Mr. Boakai has waged his campaign under the slogan Rescue, arguing that the West African state went downhill during Mr. Weah's first 6 years in office. But Mr. Weah is confident of victory, saying that he has kept Liberia stable and has improved education. This will be the first time that a generation of young voters born in peacetime Liberia will vote for a president. We'll connect there shortly, but here in Ghana, a new team visited the Budumburam camp to engage Liberians in the diaspora. Grace Hamwa-Jiman is there for us, joins us with a bit more details. Grace, you've been interacting with them. What is the expectation as to how things should go back home?
Yes, Mawuena, so if you're looking at the history of Liberia and how it has gone through the mill because of war and some other happenings, the conversation here, or the chorus of the conversation here, is all about a peaceful election, so that at the end of the day, the best man for the people comes out to win. When you talk about the best man, then it is a divided front here among the Liberians at the camp. Some are saying that George Weah should be allowed to go through and have his 12 years. Others are also saying that his first term as president has not been very impressive, especially with the policy he introduced about harmonization of salaries for civil servants. And so they want him out so that his closest contender, Joseph Boakai, can also take up the seat and also give them 6 years of what he can also offer the people in Liberia.
And for the sharp divided nature of the opinions as to who should win, did anybody explain why perhaps they didn't make the long journey back home to ensure their candidate wins?
Some of them tell me they wish they could go home, but they are not able to afford it when it comes to financial terms. Others also say that the rules that govern them as refugees, if you go back, you are likely to also lose some benefits that you enjoy as a refugee here in Ghana. So they wish they could go, but they couldn't. But they are throwing all their support to the people in Liberia and hope that they elect the best man to lead the country, so that someday when they are able to afford and go back, they can be proud of the exercise today.
Right then, Grace is my colleague at the Budumburam camp right now, interacting with Liberians even as voting is underway there in a fiercely contested election. So we're seeking to cross over to Liberia now and get an understanding as to what the temperature is like there, even as the voting continues. As and when we're able to connect with Abu Sharif, who's a journalist there, we'll reach out to him and bring his thoughts to you. But for now, pressure group Democracy Hub, they've served notice to stage a one-month protest against the government starting from December 1 to December 31. The group says the protest will be to demand the urgent prosecution of corrupt officials, including persons in the president's family and inner circle who have contributed to what has been described by former cabinet minister Professor Frimpong Boateng as a friends, family and concubines government. Oliver Bakavomo is one of the conveners. He's been speaking to us here at 3FM.
One of the corrective mechanisms for improving our democracy can come from the voices of the street and mobilizing ordinary people to be able to push our political class on some of the things that they have taken us for granted on. Now, you would agree that for the past 2 years, the country and Democracy Hub have been very consistent in demanding and bringing young people onto the streets to demand changes to our democracy. And as I see, the political class are completely tone deaf and have zero interest in taking us seriously. Now, we are mounting on the consistency of our actions and also our persistence to show that these are not fleeting demands, but that we are actually demanding for substantive reform to our way of life. The protest can end in a day. It doesn't have to do all 31 days. As long as the first gentleman of the Republic resigns, we'll call off the protest. And so we're showing up and saying that he resigns by 31st of December. And if it doesn't, we'll go back and revise our notes.
That's Oliver Bakavomo is one of the conveners. And away from that, to education now, where the West African Examination Council WAEC says it will forward names of teachers found to have been involved in examination malpractice in the just ended West African Secondary School Certificate Exams WASI to the Ghana Education Service for action. According to the council, it will in the coming weeks release its own assessment of the conduct of the examinations. This is coming on the back of a report by Africa Education Watch, which uncovered widespread exam malpractice in their monitoring. Here's its executive director, Kofi Asare.
So you need by 10% because it has become financial industry in some of the schools where teachers make huge sums. So if you are actually trying to function their participation in this business enterprise, you obviously must look at the function which is greater, far greater than the reward that actually encourages them to participate in them. That's why we want to bring the genius to the fact that conversation about going for outright dismissal when staff of the GES, not just teachers, when staff of the GES are found culpable taking the examination fraud. That will be one of the ways. And all GES will not condone its staff behaving unethically by acting in a manner that actually diminishes the credibility of an examination meant to assess their own work.
That's Kofi Asare, is the executive director of the Africa Education Watch, speaking to us there. I brought you details of the comments by the majority leader, Osechi Mensah-Bonsu. He's also been speaking in relation to the decision by the minority to protest demanding the resignation of the BOG governor, Dr. Ernest Addison. And it's exactly a week. Well, the minority have not taken kindly to his description of their protests and asking that they should have demanded the appearance of the BOG governor, not MP Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. Has been speaking to 3FM.
The majority leader's statements are really unfortunate and are not borne out of the fact. Let's be clear. The matters that have been raised, very grave matters indeed, that have been raised against the governor and his two deputies are not matters that the minority or the NDC caucus has concocted. This is not a matter of giving the dog a bad name to hang it. This is a matter of the dog having been caught, the dog having given himself a bad name. It is a statement of fact that auditors have discovered that the Bank of Ghana has made losses to the tune of 60.8 billion. It is a statement of fact that the Bank of Ghana is insolvent, is bankrupt. It has a negative equity of 55 billion.
That's Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. He is the North Tonga MP and ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee, speaking to us there. Unfortunate that we couldn't connect to Liberia and speak to journalist Abu Sharif, but that's our bulletin for you this afternoon, which came to you from our studios here on the John Hammond Street in Accra. Adesawe Kanda, to be specific. As always, a lot more news if you log on to 3news.com. The business team, they're on standby, ready and waiting to bring us the very latest from the world of business. Bismarck Awusa will bring us that shortly. Many thanks for listening.
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3 FM.
Hello, good afternoon. It's time now for Business Daily with me, Bismarck Ausa. Coming up, experts at the Ghana Economic Forum call for constitutional review to address the country's rising debt stock to ensure business growth and sustain the economy. We will go live to the forum.
The debt GDP of any developing country should not exceed 50%. And the developed countries are given a leeway of 60%. We find ourselves in this position because we have a constitution that has no business of setting a debt cap like the Americans have it.
Meanwhile, former finance minister said Tekpe calls for standard practice of accounting and expenditure rationalization as a blueprint for successive governments. I am Bismarck Ausa. Will bring you details of these stories and many others shortly. Thanks for your company. Now to our very first story. Ghana grapples with ongoing challenges in debt sustainability, experts at this year's Ghana Economic Forum in Accra are calling for policies to ensure business growth and sustainable economy. The forum brought together captains of industry and thought leaders in civil society to discuss and debate key issues affecting the Ghanaian economy and offer solutions to help overcome the challenges. Banking consultant Dr. Richmond Ituahene is advocating for a constitutional review to address the country's borrowing practices. My colleague Michael Obodo is at the forum and takes up the rest of the story.
Banking consultant Dr. Richmond Ituahene made these remarks during the 12th edition of the Ghana Economic Forum currently taking place in Accra under the theme Building Back Better, IMF Support Strategies to Build a Sustainable Economy and a Dynamic Business Environment. In his opinion, the call for a review of the Constitution is crucial to managing the country's debt levels.
Ghana as a country must, from today, begin to look at the Constitution. And inside the Constitution, according to literature from the United Nations in 2014, the debt GDP of any developing country should not exceed 50%. And the developed countries are given a leeway of 60%. We find ourselves in this position because we have a constitution that has no business of setting a debt cap like the Americans have it. When the Americans have the cap and they have a trouble, they have to go to Congress. And when they go to Congress, you see how they suffer. So we need to come to the constitution and amend it as soon as possible. This is one of the shortest strategy that I'll recommend, so that we don't find ourselves in such a situation ever, never, ever again. Borrowing for consumption. As I've always said in my literature, you pay through the nose, and Ghanaians are paying through the nose.
Meanwhile, speaking at the same event, the president of the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, Dr. Humphrey Eyim Dake, called for efforts and policies to be introduced to sustain the gains made under the IMF program, including the stability of the local currency, among others.
We are going to the fourth quarter, where we all know how activities in terms of the seasons and the seasonalities will lead to a lot of business activities, and therefore the dollar will be tested. However, we believe with the IMF, and historically, whenever the IMF is in town, we conform to to growth and to stability. So that then gives some form of assurance historically. But that becomes an opportunity or a transitional period to offer solutions that we need to start now, that in the long term, when the IMF period is over, the transitional period would have consolidated our strategies to make sure our export earnings will be robust our industrialization agenda will be robust.
And that was a report by my colleague Michael Obodu. Meanwhile, former Finance Minister said Tekpe is calling for a standard practice of accounting and expenditure rationalization as a blueprint for successive governments. Speaking at the same forum, he noted that this is critical to control the country's rising debt.
We should stop the habit of footnotes. We should stop the habits of not providing adequately for arrears. We have over 100 at the last count when I was in office, qualified chartered accountants at the Controller and Accountant General. They can move the country to semi-accrual accounting. Right. And then we must, today we have in the IMF program that we must improve on our accounts payable, practices, pipelines, and other things. These are what are the elements of reforms in moving the country to full accrual. Let me repeat again, in 2015 budget, I called on the Institute of Chartered Accountants, of which I'm a member, to give the country a standard so that we stop the arbitrary, one government using this method, another government using other methods. If we apply IPSAS, similar to the private and Bank of Ghana and the financial institutions applying IFRS, nobody would have the option of saying this is the way I want to, tackle government account.
In a related development, the former finance minister also called for the streamlining of taxes and levies in the country to avert high cost of production. He said this has become necessary to improve the country's imports.
VAT, which is a general consumption tax, excise duty, which is a punitive tax, and import duties, because we are still a developing country and we get a lot from tariffs. If we continue to interfere with these policies and do not make them stabilize and mature, and let me give examples, increasing the personal credits and refunds, for VAT, introducing a number of levies, in addition, which in addition adds to the cost of production, VAT is imposed. And if we continue with strict levies, debt fund and NHI, which used to be collected in all but name as VAT, the cost of production will be expensive. We cannot export. This is the principle of the value-added tax.
Former Finance Minister said Tekpe ending Business Daily with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please log on to 3news.com. To a recap of our headline stories, experts at the Ghana Economic Forum call for constitutional review to address the country's rising debt stock to ensure business growth and sustain the economy. Thanks for your company.